Fellas, we got to start with Mike Tomlin stepping down. This is one of those ones that maybe you thought there was some chance it could happen, but the second that that news hits your phone, an era ends in the NFL, an era of my childhood, an era of your guys' football lives. Coach, how did this news hit you? I know that you know him well.
Jack, I went there before the Baltimore game to do the interview for Sunday Night Football. And as I look back on that, and I was talking to Mike, and he kept reflecting back to players that had played for him in the past and part of this rivalry and just being around the Steelers offices. He was so nostalgic. As I look back on it, I could kind of see this coming. And it is an end of an era. And what I'll take away from it is that game that we were at, and Baltimore's kicker misses the field goal, allowed him to tie Chuck Noll for the most wins in Steeler history.
Wow.
Pretty special career. Pretty special career.
And let's not forget the man that actually gave Mike Tomlin his opportunity, and that was no other than Coach Dungy himself. But I'm really excited for Mike Tomlin, Coach. I'm really happy for him. It gives him an opportunity to pour back into his family, guys. You know, when we're doing this job, we miss so many things on the weekends, time spent, events, all the different things that we miss, and we're able now to get back. So I'm really excited for Mike Tomlin to be able to spend that time. He's going to be fantastic on TV if he wants to sit out a year and coach. Whatever he decides to do, Coach, you know him well. He's very charismatic, and he's a smart dude. He'll land on his feet, no problem.
Yeah, and I do see that happening. I think the Sean Payton model, go into TV, do that for a year, recharge your batteries, reconnect, as you say, with your family, and then see where there's an opportunity. And I expect to see him back in 2027.
Interesting. Coach, you think he has interest in doing some TV stuff?
I don't know that he does, but I could see that happening. I could see him just sitting out a year and recharging. Every network is going to talk to him about it. If he doesn't coach, he would be fantastic with it. I think that was Bill Cowher's plan, and he had so much fun in TV, he never went back to coaching. And I could see that happening to Mike as well.
And guess what? That wasn't Coach Dungy plan, but he's been here for 17 years since he's retired. So guess what?
No.
It could possibly happen to Mike Tomlin, too.
No, I had no thought of going back, and I'm very, very happy with my 17 years with you guys.
So, Coach, here's part of the amazing thing as it relates to the Steelers franchise. 3 coaches since 1969, as you know well. How have they been able to do this, and why is this the right formula for the Steelers?
It's just the history, the tradition, and the top of the organization. But as you look at that, Chuck Noll, I think the greatest coach ever, in my opinion, and I'm biased because he was my coach, but 193 wins. Mike Tomlin did the same thing in 4 less seasons, not as many Super Bowl wins, but that's 3 tremendous coaches there, quite a legacy. And whoever steps in and follows Mike Tomlin has big shoes to fill.
Yeah, they sure do. Rod, who would you throw out there? Who's a coach that like you feel like could mix or mesh? Would it be a defensive coach? Would it be mentor? Like who would you think about for the Steelers?
You know, the first person I actually thought of, it was Jesse Minter. And it just seems like because of his demeanor, he's laid back, but really detail-oriented, but also just a defensive-minded coach. I like him. I think he brings stability. He doesn't have a big ego. I think he just has a solid foundation. I would like him to consider him for the job.
It's funny you say that, Rob, because Dan Rooney, his formula for all those, and you can look at those 3 coaches, young, defensive communicators. Jesse Minter fits that bill tremendously. Now, Art Rooney, Dan's son, is going to be making the decision. I don't know if he'll stick with his dad's formula, but if he does, Jesse Minter would be great. The other name I would throw out there would be Brian Flores. Brian worked there for a year under Mike Tomlin, same thing. He would bring that same MO and that same chemistry.
And
Yeah.
the only reason I didn't say him, Jack, because last time we talked to him, he talked to us about how complacent he was, how content he was in Minnesota as the defensive coordinator, and he was like, "Hey, I don't even really talk to me about any head coaching jobs." But I like him there as a possible replacement as well, Coach.
And I saw that he interviewed in Baltimore. So if he is in that mode to at least explore it, I think the Steelers ought to give him a call.
Yeah, the craziest thing about this whole situation is it's like the only winner in the AFC North that I see is the Cincinnati Bengals. You know why? They don't have to face Harbaugh anymore. They don't have to face Mike Tomlin anymore. The Browns were already a problem, but like both those coaches, they are a issue every time you face them. I mean, they're tough as it gets. And now the North to me looks so much different with no Mike Tomlin, no John Harbaugh. And it's interesting because there's fans in both these cities, in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, that feel like they somehow may get better through this, and maybe they will, but I don't think it's going to be immediate, Coach. I mean, do you?
No, we'll see. And everybody's going to say, well, change is good. Philadelphia went through it. But, you know, you look at what Philadelphia did, okay? You got a little frustrated. Andy Reid went to the Super Bowl one time, went to the NFC Championship game several times in Philly. Oh, we need someone else. Well, Andy goes and wins 3 Super Bowls in Kansas City. And you say, well, we're doing okay. Yeah, you are. But you had 3 coaches since then. And
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, that's the thing. We think it's going to be better. Yeah, we think we'll get some new blood in, new ideas. You will. But let's see if you get the same results.
Yeah, the only thing is Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback, whereas, the Baltimore Ravens, they still have Lamar Jackson. He'll go back this offseason. He'll rebound. He'll work hard and do the things that he has to do to get back and healthy. So that would put the Baltimore Ravens still right there at the top of the division because of the level of talent they have.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, sir.
Yep. How about the biggest challenge, Coach? Stepping in to be the Steelers head coach, what do you think the biggest challenge would be? Rod mentioned the quarterback. That obviously one of them.
Well, I think that's it. You've got some defensive tools to build off of. It is a defensive mentality, defensive town, and I think their defense is going to be fine. But you've got to find a quarterback, and that's been the issue probably for the last decade, And if you find that guy, then you can step up and have some success. If you don't, it's going to be that fight every year. And Mike Tomlin, without the quarterback for the last 7 or 8 years, to still win, to still make playoffs. People think, oh, well, yeah, but you didn't win playoff games. He did a really, really good job to me under the circumstances.
You're speaking about that defense, too. You look at some of those guys on starting to age a little bit. TJ Watt's making $41 million a year. Cameron Hayward still playing at a high level, although he's been in the league 15 years. He's 36 years old. So you have to start looking at the defensive side of the ball. Jalen Ramsey, he transitioned as an older corner into safety. So they still have some questions, some things that they have to do on the defensive side, Jack.
They do. And I'm sure that was all part of it for Mike Tomlin. He's thinking, how many more does Hayward really have? Is Aaron Rodgers going to come back? Would I even want Aaron Rodgers to come back at this point? And do I want to go through drafting and developing another quarterback? Like, I don't think you wanted to do a Russell Wilson rental again or something similar to that. So to me, that's why this makes sense for Coach Tomlin. And I think you guys laid it out beautifully. Step away, do TV, recharge the batteries, and then as we see somebody like Coach Harbaugh doing right now, pick the job that makes sense for you. And I think probably having the quarterback is going to be the first thing he's looking at with these other teams, Rob.
And I look at Coach Dungy, and your lifestyle the last 17 years, the time that you've been able to enjoy with your family, the traveling, being able to spend time with your kids. It's not a bad lifestyle, especially for a guy like Mike Tomlin. He put 18 years. He devoted that time into so many players, just like Coach. He touched so many people's lives, and he deserves this, man. And when he comes back, whenever he decides to come back, he's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready to go, and he'll be a different person.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.